Hi, my name is Lena. Welcome to my channel, and this is my second video of Sagalong2022, and we are talking about next 22 chapters of Egil's saga. And I would say that the hero of this part of the saga, the main protagonist of this part of the saga, is Skallagrim. And I like the way narrator handles this two brothers story. At first we are made to like Thorolf, and so we think that Thorolf was the not exactly the favorite son, but the best of the sons. So we like him, we root for him, and then very quietly, very subtly, softly, narrator shows us that actually Skallagrim was much worst of the brothers. So this part is about Skallagrim. As for the conclusion of Thorolf's story, Thorolf is killed, right? And there is a bit of blood feud going on between Kveldulf, his father, and Skallagrim, his brothers, on one hand, and King Harald, the Fair Hair, on the other hand. Because King Harald, being the sole king of Norway, put himself above the law. Instead of paying blood money to the family for killing of Thorolf, or Thorolf, he almost got Skallagrim killed. So there is no blood money to the family, right? There is no blood money for killing. So there must be a revenge. And the first one to avenge Thorolf was Ketil Hyeng. People did indeed were gathering to help Thorolf, but they were too late. And here we have Hyeng with 60 of his men. And instead of going home, he went and slew the brothers who were slandering Thorolf. So he held them responsible, and he slew them, and he avenged Thorolf's death in this way. Then he took his men, took his household, his family, his 4 sons, and his wife, who might have been pregnant already with their 5th son, and he sailed to Iceland. And that makes me wonder, who was his wife? I would love to know a bit more about this woman. What was it like? You know, they left almost all of their possessions behind. They sailed to Iceland, and I believe Iceland called Iceland for a reason, and there is no even trees to build shelters, to build houses, so they had to use wood trees that were carried to the shore by sea, by waves. So what it was like for her, for them, to survive that first winter, and what kind of woman was she? Unfortunately, we are not told anything about her. Maybe there is a saga. So, about Kveldulf and Skallagrim. Kveldulf is going on and on about how old he is, but when Skallagrim spotted the ship that used to belong to Thorolf and that King Harald took from Thorolf, they gather men, they take 2 boats, they sail to the ship, and they attack it and boarded it and put everybody on the ship to death. It might be a usual Viking business, but on this particular ship, unfortunately, there were 2 boys of 12 and 10, and they were first cousins of King Harald. and trying to save themselves, they jumped overboard and drowned. So I guess after that, there was no hope of any peace between the families. So Kveldulf and Skallagrim, they took their possessions, what they could put on ships, and they sailed to Iceland as well. It was time for them to go. And in Iceland, we are shown what a good manager, what a good master Skallagrim was. So that kind of concludes Thorolf's part of the story. He was killed, he was avenged. There is another story I'd like to talk to you about. It's a Viking love story, and I know we wouldn't call it a love story exactly. So, a Viking named Tarir refused to marry his sister Tora to a Viking called Bjorn, even though their family were friends. He was friends with Bjorn's father, but for some reason he refused to give his sister Tora as a wife to Bjorn. And Bjorn didn't take no for an answer, and actually gathered his friends and stole the girl when her brother wasn't home. So it would have been romantic if the girl wanted to marry him, but we are told that it was against her will. So it wasn't elopement, it was kidnapping. And he brought this Tora girl, to his father, to home. He brought her home to marry her. But his father refused to have this wedding. So he said that Tora will live in their house as his foster child, as his foster daughter, and as Bjorn's sister. And he would love to return Tora to her brother, and pay her offense money for this offense that she suffered. So it wasn't a common deal, and we have never heard about anything like that in sagas. We are used to these things being, handled, settled in peaceful conversation at all things. So we are not used to brides being kidnapped by their grooms, So Bjorn's father would love to return Tora to her brother, but he's afraid of what his son might do. And he thinks that Tora is safer in his house, under his supervision, close to him. And Bjorn had to kidnap her for the second time. So he kidnaps her for the second time and flees to Iceland and finally marries her. And I don't know whether she grew to like him or whether it was a Stockholm syndrome. I don't know what it was, but she didn't snitch on him to Skallagrim. She didn't say, she never mentioned that Bjorn married her against the will of both of their families. And you would have thought that such a love story would, I don't know, not exactly live forever, last forever, but we are told that they had one child, it was a daughter. And then, after some time, Tora fell ill and died, and Bjorn married someone else. But I think it's a very prominent theme of this particular saga that many of the Vikings, many of these protagonist heroes, they absolutely could not take no for an answer. and especially Egil. He is just a kid in this part. Well, he grew to be a man, but most of this part of the saga he's just a kid, and he already tries to pick up a blood feud with his own father. His own father cannot manage him, and I am actually a bit intimidated by the things to come. I have no idea what's lying ahead. They cannot handle him. He is not manageable as a teenager. He is absolutely not manageable. Vikings, they obey their fathers. They honor their fathers. Egil does not. So I'm looking forward to the next 22 chapters, and I'm looking forward to watching all of my co-hosts' videos and seeing what they chose to talk about. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and happy reading.